Absolutely, and I love the First Nations.
We poisoned their water, destroyed their economy.
You know something, thank you for that. Yeah, well, you know that falls under the federal government, right? But anyways, we will still support it. Okay, if you want to come up and speak, you're more than welcome to, but you know something, sir, there's no more support from a province to the First Nations than what our party has done. No one. Nobody even close. And we're actually going to talk about that in 1 minute. But again, because I know many people in this room and many people across Ontario are worried that all this progress we've made together is now at risk. President Trump's tariffs are creating absolute chaos around not just Ontario and Canada, but around the world. And his latest pause on some of these tariffs only adds uncertainty. When I was doing a media just outside here at NBC, they said, well, what do you think about the pause? I said, all he's creating that is certain is uncertainty. And when the market speaks, I always believe market dictates everything. When the market speaks and it drops close to $3 trillion, with a T, $3 trillion, you know, that is staggering. Those are people's pension funds. These are some Ontario pension funds that invested, and the market's gone down. For Ontario workers and businesses, I understand how concerned you are, but I'll always be there to protect you. That's why I've been absolutely clear, until President Trump removes these tariffs completely and permanently, Ontario will not back down in our response. As you know, in addition to the retaliatory tariffs announced by the federal government, I've directed the LCBO, and I think, Carmen, where are you? He's the chair of the board, he's somewhere around here. There you are. I don't like saying I directed Carmen, he doesn't need direction. He just does it going forward, common sense. We've directed the LCBO, the largest purchaser of alcohol in the world, to remove all American products from their stores and wholesale catalogs. Kentucky bourbon, and I talked to the governor, first things out of his mouth was, Premier, do not touch my bourbon. I said, that's the first thing I'm gonna touch. And then I apologized, I said, you need to talk to your president. Kentucky bourbon, we're the largest customer in the world, California wine, largest customer in the world, and the list goes on. It's off the shelves, and it will stay off the shelves until these tariffs are gone. You sit back and think, does alcohol, make a difference? We talk in politics kitchen table issues, and down there it's a massive kitchen table issue. We buy 3,600 products from 35 states, and they're going to have plants shut down because we're holding off, which is unfortunate. But we're going to make sure we pull every ounce of alcohol, which we have. But I'm encouraging every other premier to do the same. And I believe all the premiers have done it, except I think one. I won't mention her name. But we're also ripping up Ontario's contract with Starlinks because I refuse to do business with anyone who's attacking our economy. And we're excluding U.S. businesses from bidding on provincial procurement, which means they will miss out on $252 billion in procurement opportunities, and that's $30 billion of general procurement, then another $222 billion of infrastructure procurement that American companies get a lot of these jobs, and also in the service sector, the software sector, they're done, they're gone. And what we're doing, and I have to explain this to folks, it's not the American people. I was down there for 20 years. I've talked to them every single day. It's not even the Republican or Democrat elected officials, the governors, the senators, the congresspeople. Behind closed doors, there's not one Republican, not one, have told me this is a great idea. They're all saying it's an absolute disaster idea because they know it's going to affect their economy. We're also imposing a 25% surcharge on electricity Ontario exports to the United States. We power Ontario, we power 1.5 million homes and businesses south of the border, and we won't hesitate to go further, including shutting off their power completely if President Trump continues down this path. Had an opportunity, and all three governors, my friends, and I felt terrible, but they understand. They aren't in favor of this nonsense that President Trump is doing. And I talked to Governor Walz yesterday, a good guy. We were tossing the football around in my office, just a down-to-earth person. And he's as frustrated, and he's on the steps of Capitol Hill jumping up and down, shouting and screaming like the other two governors as well. Because I promise you, nothing is off the table when it comes to fighting for Ontario's families and workers. I also want to say a few words about our long-term plan to protect Ontario's economy and workers. As you know, Ontario is blessed with incredible natural resources, a wealth of critical minerals that every country needs, and that includes the United States. I'm sure you've heard me say it before, we have more critical minerals than anyone in the entire world. We have the largest trade show, PDAC, that just happened over the last few days. Everyone from the world comes to Ontario, and I describe it this way. Our critical minerals are like Alberta's oil, but there's more critical minerals that the world needs and we can get access to. But we cannot be sitting there. Just think of this, 20 years to get a permit? You've got to be kidding me. Like 20 years. This is what we're up against. President Trump is saying invest $1 billion and we'll get shovels in the ground and permitting in 1 year. Well, we're going to be doing the same. Over the past 7 years, we've made major progress collaborating with First Nations partners, no matter if it's Webequay or Martin Falls or Arrowland. We have a phenomenal relationship with First Nations communities, and it's unfortunate we had the friend earlier today. He has a point, but we have never had a better relationship with First Nations than under our government right now, and you ask any chief in the entire province. And we're going to continue giving economic opportunities to our friends in the north and our First Nations communities. Northern communities to unlock the minerals and build critical infrastructure in the north, like access to the Ring of Fire. Now we want to connect these mineral deposits to world-class workforces and manufacturing know-how in the Golden Horseshoe cities, just like Mississauga here. We don't want our critical minerals to be simply ripped and shipped overseas, across borders, to get refined, and we want to do it right here. Right here in Ontario, the critical minerals will be processed and refined right here in Ontario by Ontario workers. And that's not all. I'm going to work with premiers across the country to tear down internal trade barriers between provinces and territories. That really, they cost our economy $200 billion every single year. And since I've been in office, we've been trying to push this, but now it's amazing. With a crisis, there's opportunities, as they say. This is an opportunity because every single province always says, well, you can't touch my wine, or you can't touch this, or you can't touch that. I don't believe in that. I believe in true Canadian free trade, and believe it or not, we can trade easier with our good friends, the Americans, than we can shipping a bottle of wine from BC over to Ontario, or even transport trucks. They have rules for every single province as it's carrying goods across our country. Tire pressures are different, first aid kits are different. It's absolute nonsense, and you will see a change over the next few months. As I've been blessed to be the chair, as we rotated every single year, the chair of the Federation, so I'm going to push it like they've never seen before. $200 billion plan to build Ontario so we can keep our workers working. And big projects like Highway 413 and the Bradford Bypass, which will support our growing provinces and keep Ontario workers on the job despite President Trump's tariffs. This plan, our plan to protect Ontario, will help us get through the challenges of the next few years. but it's more about, it's about more than that. It's about building an economy, a province, and a country that can withstand whatever comes our way for decades to come. And it's about making one thing very clear to President Trump: Canada is not for sale and will never be the 51st state, ever. I always tell our MPPs, you know, there's no such thing as door knocking for 30 days during the election. You need to be door knocking for 4 years straight. And we've all agreed every single few weeks we'll be out there just hammering the doors, listening to the people. Because without you, again, I wouldn't be here. And I'm very grateful, I'm very humbled that you gave me an opportunity to serve again. And I will never, ever take it for granted. I will work like I've never worked before. I'll fight like I've never fought before to protect the families and businesses and jobs and communities here. I want to thank all of you for being here today and for your support as we work together to protect Ontario. Thank you, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you so much. Folks, I gotta run. They have me going. If you need anything, just text me on my cell phone. I'll get back to you. Thank you.